Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be all about self-publishing, specifically 10 things that you should know maybe before you self-publish, or if you're new to self-publishing. I'm going to have more than 10, I don't know. I have 10 written down in a little notebook here, but I have a feeling that I'm going to go on tangents and probably go more than 10, so bear with me. If you don't know who I am, my name is Anne and I am a self-published author. I have published 26 books, I think, and it's not a humble brag that I don't remember how much books I've published. It's just been a bit of a whirlwind. So yeah, 26 books in 5 years, and I have got another book just about to release, so almost 27, which is how old I am, which is quite cool. So yeah, I have been doing this for 5 years and it is my full-time job. I want to put a quick disclaimer here. I am by no means the most successful self-published author you'll find. There are plenty of strong, especially females in the industry because I'm mainly romance, but strong female authors who are killing it and doing a lot better than me. And probably knowing a lot more than me, but I think that I know enough to talk to you about it, especially because I've been doing this for 5 years and I do make a living off this now. In saying that, I have a lot more goals for myself. I want to go a lot further and I definitely don't know everything. I think I've already said that, but yeah, that's what I wanted to have as a disclaimer. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I am claiming to be someone who has made a lot of mistakes and has learned from them, and is doing this as a job. So if you are maybe kind of struggling to get published traditionally, or if you just want to know more, then keep watching. And for those of you who don't know what an indie author is, or a self-published author is, pretty much just that. It is someone who publishes a book themselves, uploads the manuscript and all of that, and doesn't go through traditional gatekeepers, which is a blessing and a curse. I'll probably talk a little bit more about that, but yeah, self-publishing became, I don't know the history of self-publishing, but romance specifically became pretty big, and I think it was 2013 maybe, the real big boom. So I came a little bit late, but I definitely want to say before I get too far into this, I think the time that I emerged into the self-publishing and released my first book had a lot to do with it. The industry wasn't as saturated as it is now, so I was definitely right place, right time was a lot to do with why my first book took off. So just keep that in mind. And saying that, it is not far from impossible to be successful now, and the saturation of the industry is by no means a bad thing, especially with romance readers. Romance readers are ferocious. I know this because I was a romance reader. That is how I published my first book. I was devouring books, 2 a day, and I just couldn't find something that I wanted to read, so that is how I wrote my first book. I was like, what do I want to read? And that is what I started writing. So that's a quick thing for anyone who wants to write or has already written. Make sure that you're writing for you. Think about something that you want to write, that you want to read, and write that. Don't write for any other reason, because I'm sure there are people out there that are writing for the wrong reasons and are very successful, but it's few and far between. Readers are smart people and they can sense your authenticity. So that's just my main thing I want to say from the start. Write for you, write what you want to read, because we're all readers here, aren't we? So I have a list because I feel like I would not properly remember this. So the first one, number one, it is not easy. I think a lot of people maybe think that it is easy from just seeing, I don't even know why people think it's easy. Artists and the creative arts seem to get a little bit of the short end of the stick a lot of the time, because people don't really fully understand the effort and the emotional toll that creating can make. And I've experienced this personally from friends and family, and not in a malicious way. My friends and family are so supportive. They just didn't fully understand, and they didn't think that the time and effort that I put in did go into it, because on the surface, if you're looking at something, if you're looking at anything, it looks easy. You think, we all have this idea of ourselves, right? We all think, oh, I can do that. Like, I'm guilty of this. I have like a really weird confidence in myself that I look at something and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Like, that looks fine. Like, I'll be able to do it. But in reality, nothing is ever as easy as it looks. And that is tenfold for writing, especially self-publishing. So much more so, I think, than being traditionally published. Not in writing the actual book, but a lot of traditionally published authors can write the actual book, and then the publisher takes care of the advertising, the book tours, the editing, all of the costs that go into that. It's taken care of the publisher. So you have a lot more people in your corner and at your back, whereas a self-published author, it is just you. You're the only person taking care of all of those things. And I definitely think that it's been hard for my family maybe to understand that this is just not something that I do every now and then, and I get a book and I've got 26 books out of this. This is something that I have toiled over, the many sleepless nights, many unhealthy periods of my life where I was sleeping like 3 hours a night. Like, for example, when I first started writing, I didn't tell any of my family because I didn't think it would turn into anything, and B, I was still at university. So I was a full-time university student, and at the time when I first started, I was a full-time retail assistant, and I was writing, which meant I was usually writing hours and hours into the night. And this is the case for many self-published authors. Many of them are mums, parents, they have other jobs. So this is a moonlighting gig. This is hard work. And even the ones that have this as a full-time job and have nothing else to worry about are doing this for 12 hours a day. Any self-employed person is going to understand this. With a conventional job, you 9 to 5 and then you go and then you don't have to worry about it. That doesn't happen, especially with being self-published and the type of people I think that self-publish. You're never switched off. You're never not writing. Like me, I can write, like I would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and start writing, or I would be up until 3 in the morning and start writing. There is never a moment where I'm like, all right, my work day is done. That's not how it works, especially because you have so much more pressure on yourself, because if this is going to become your full-time job, then you have to put so much work into it to make sure that you can pay your bills. So that is something that you should keep in mind, especially if you kind of thought, not wrongly, but you just kind of thought, oh, I can do that. It's like, it'll be easy. I promise you it's not. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done, and it continues to be. So just keep that in mind. This isn't like a kind of flighty pursuit or whatever. This is something that you're going to have to put blood, sweat, and tears into if you really, really want this to be something. All right, number 2, hire professionals. This is not something that I did the first time with my first book. Quick little bit of background. My first book was, I'll quickly grab it. This was my first book, Making the Cut. It is a fat book. It is a motorcycle MC romance. For those of you who don't know, it is a huge genre within the romance industry. And it didn't look like this when I first published it. The cover was not cute. I created it on Amazon Cover Creator myself. Don't even do that. And I didn't have it professionally edited, and it was a hot mess. I'm just going to tell you that. It was genuine. I had put all of myself into it, and I think that's why it continues to be one of the books that still sells really great 5 years later, is because it is authentic. It is me, a romance reader. It's a love letter to a lot of the books that I have already read, and it is a book in my head that I was like, what is my ideal book that I want to read right now? And that is what that is. And saying that, I didn't get a professional editor, and it was riddled with errors. So I'm a New Zealander, and I was writing it for the American market, and I had all sorts of Americanisms and Kiwiisms and all the wrong kind of things in that respect. I think that's just my man coming back. So beyond that, the grammar, everything, the tenses, I didn't know any of this. Can you just keep in mind, maybe if you've read this and you were like thinking I was a little bit of an idiot, I didn't know anything, and B, I didn't think that anyone was going to see it. for whatever reason, which I think a lot of the reason why it got as big as it did, people were being hard on it, as they should have. It was a hot mess, and I think that the negative press gave it publicity. So I learned very quickly. I took it down. I got a professional designer to do the cover. I did get kind of ripped off by a few editors, so that is why that book probably needs, and the first 3 in the series probably need a more thorough going through even now, is because I didn't know what to look for in an editor. I didn't know how much I should be paying. I didn't know any of that. So just a quick, this editing can go from like $100 up to thousands depending on how much words you have in your book and how sought after the editor is, how experienced they are. A lot of new editors do offer really discounted rates or even editing a book for free, so keep that in mind. I would say this book is about 110,000 words, I think, and right now how much you're expecting to pay is like towards $1,000 for a good edit. Even more than that when you factor in if you're just new, you might need a developmental edit, a line edit, a copy edit, and then a proofread. It is expensive. It is not, and then on top of that, you've got your cover design charges. Again, those prices vary. It can be from $100, $50, right up to the thousands. So it's a big scale, depending on who you go with, how much experience they have, all of that kind of stuff. But you need it. You need them because you can't do everything. I have a friend, Jessica Gadziella, who is an indie author, and she does a lot of the things on her own, and she is amazing at it. But for us, the rest of us mere mortals, you especially with editing, you've been over your book so many times, right? You don't see the errors, you gloss over them. So you need a professional. It is the biggest one. Professional editing and professional cover at the least. If you're a whiz at Photoshop, maybe you can do your own cover, but you cannot do your own editing. I can't stress that enough. This number 3, this kind of ties in, but 3, have a good cover. This is really important. If you're a reader, a cover is what catches your attention, right? Like if it's got a good cover, then you stop scrolling through whatever site that you're looking at or the bookstore or whatever. A good cover catches your attention, and that's what makes you pick it up. Most of the time, maybe someone's recommended it to you or whatever, but a good cover is like the cornerstone to having a successfully written and published book. So you need a cover designer. As I said, you might be great at Photoshop and be able to do your own, which is awesome. Especially romance. I know my first, I think, few books have got a half naked man on it, and they sell great for romance, and that's what I looked for. I have kind of veered away from that because my writing is changing and I'm not doing the same kind of romance as I used to, but definitely think about your genre, think about your ideal reader, and think about the covers in that kind of genre and what they look like, and don't copy off them, but just look at the kind of styles that are getting the most attention, and then keep that in mind. So that's another one. I will say, with my second book, a cover designer did tell me that, because it has a female on it, she's like, covers with females don't sell as well, which was an interesting and kind of frustrating fact. I was like, I'm a huge feminist. I'm like, no, I'm putting a woman on my cover, and it sells great, but that whole series sells great. Number 4, get your author platform set up. So I'm talking about Facebook, Instagram, an email address. Obviously that's a must when you start to create your book. It will ask for an email address, but this is something that I didn't do. As I said, I wasn't expecting anything to come of this, but then I started getting emails about when's the next book coming out, where's your author page, all of that kind of stuff. Straight up, it just makes you look more professional, which is what you want. You want to look professional. You don't want to look like an amateur, which is what I look like. So you want a Facebook, somewhere where people can come and like it, we can share news, maybe do giveaways, all of that kind of stuff. And then ideally you want a reader group. This is how I actually decided to film today. In my reader group, I did a poll of what my readers wanted to see, and by and large, people wanted to see this video, which is why I'm filming it. But make sure you have at the very least a Facebook page, but Instagram's great, Twitter's great. As many places as readers can find you, the better. If they want to get in contact you, if you want to become visible, you need all those social platforms. This is just the world we live in. Number 5, it is not a get rich quick scheme. That is something that I really need to stress. It is rare for self-published authors to make good money. Luckily, it's getting less rare, especially in the romance industry. I think it's a different beast altogether. But the romance industry is worth so much money. But even in the romance industry, it is hard. It is not easy. You're not just going to pop out a book. Even if you do all the other things, you're not just going to make heaps of money really quickly. That's just not how it happens, especially because the market is saturated. Back when things were fresher, the money was like a lot more. I would say that I earned a lot more money back when I first kind of came out, all of that, which it's not all to do with the industry. It's a lot more to do with my writing habits, and I'm not releasing as often as I was before. But anyway, beyond that, you're not going to become a billionaire writing. You might not even be able to have it as your job for 1 year, 2 years. Like, it is not something that's like you can just do and expect to earn a lot of money. I really want to let you know that, because sometimes it may seem like that, but that's not how it is. Number 6, you're going to get bad reviews. This is something that is hard, and I remember with my first one and the next few, I got really bad reviews. And I remember I was on a bus. I was a student. I was getting a bus home, and I was reading them, and I was like in tears, and I was just like, when I get home, I'm gonna delete everything. I'm never gonna write another word again. I'm not doing this. Luckily, I got over that, and I stopped reading reviews, and I stopped like looking at them, because I used to filter them by the 1 stars because I wanted to see the bad things that people said, which maybe was a good thing because I have much thicker skin now. But you're gonna get them. Like Dita Von T said, you could be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and there's going to be someone that doesn't like peaches. The same can go with books. There are many great books out there, famous books that still have thousands of 1-star reviews. People are different, which is great, because that means we can all write such different books, and we're going to find a reader for them. But you're going to get bad reviews. Obviously, after I told my family I was writing full-time, a lot of them, my cousin in particular, she's such a sweetie, she's got such a kind soul. She's like, oh my gosh, I couldn't handle seeing all the mean things that people were saying about you. And it's going to happen. Again, the romance industry is a whole different beast. Yeah, I'm going to talk more about that later. But it's a whole different beast. People are passionate about their romance books, and people are unfortunately nastier. But there are way more good people, so you just need to look at what you can focus on. Please don't do what I did and look for reasons to like be sad and be upset. Number 7, advertising. You need to advertise. As much as I didn't do it at the start, and it was pure luck that I kind of still continue to sell books and make money, I was very naive. Like I say, it was a lot of right place, right time. There was a lot of factors that went into the reason why I was able to get a foothold without knowing a lot of this stuff. But you need to advertise. You need to market yourself. And for me, it has taken me a long time to be able to do that. I don't know if it's because I'm a New Zealander, and New Zealanders and Australians in particular, feel like a little bit odd about like pushing ourselves and coming off as like full of ourselves. But I was actually just talking to my friend Jessica. It's like, you need to fill yourself up. You need to feel confident and full of your own self-worth. So you want to be full of yourself. You want to be believing in yourself, and if you want to be successful, you have to realize that you're going to have to like promote yourself, which is a fine line though, because you don't want to come off as like an asshole, especially when you're first starting out. This is a mistake that I made, but I get a lot of people being like asking for friendships on Facebook, and the second I accept them, they message me being like, oh, will you do this for me? Will you do this for me? And it's just the wrong way to do it. I get it. I get the enthusiasm, and you want to like stand out, and you want to do all these things, but it's not the right way. You have to come across authentic at the same time, which is a tightrope, obviously. But try not to, if you're a budding author, and especially if you're in the romance community, if you're on Facebook a lot, try not to come across too over the top on Facebook especially. There's other ways to market that are a lot more organic and don't come off that way, which work differently for different people. Like for example, AMS ads, which are Amazon ads, they pretty much don't work for me. But I know people that are experts at them and make good money from their books because of it. And they also put a lot of money into it, like thousands and thousands, which is a whole nother beast entirely. If you're business minded, that is awesome. You'll be able to figure that out much better than I can. Can't make heads or tails of that shit. Which I'm still learning, because this is my business, this is my livelihood. I need to always learn new ways to market and learn new ways to make sure that readers are going to find my stuff. Because I was lucky at the start, the readers found it on their own, but most of the time it doesn't work that way. You have to put it in front of the readers. You have to show this. So keep that in mind. Number 8, find your own voice and your own brand. Again, not something I really did at the start. I was still finding my feet, and I found myself mimicking a lot of authors' tone and styles, which Stephen King and on writing. Also, side note, if you're going to be an author, if you're thinking about writing, buy Stephen King on writing, okay? There's one book you're going to read about writing, it's Stephen King on writing. But he talked about how you do. If you read a book and you love it and you love an author, you are consciously or unconsciously going to kind of adopt that author's voice for a little minute. But it's going to take a second for you to find your own voice, but it is so important. And the same goes for your brand. Again, this is something I was like, ugh, I'm not a brand, I'm a person. But you are a brand. People, especially in like today's world, people want to see your social media. They want to see what kind of person you are. I know I do. I love to see, like if I find an author that I love, I'm like, where's their Instagram? Where's their Facebook? I want to like know about them, which says a lot about our society. We want to see more than just that, which is a blessing and a curse, I'll say that. But you need to figure out, who am I and who do I want my readers to see me as? And don't come across fake, it's very easy to see that. But just be honest and be authentic, but also find your lane, find your voice. And like, are you a sweet author? Are you like going to do traditional romance with happy endings and like beautiful stories with not much darkness? Is that going to be the books that you want to write? Maybe mimic that in your brand overall. But me, I know I write different kinds of books, but I already know what my brand is. I think I do at least, and I hope my readers do. But you need to figure out the things about you that set you apart and that you want to set you apart. So definitely go on, research other authors and see what they're like. Again, don't copy, but see what people are doing, see what people you love, what you love about them, why you love them, and see if you can pinpoint your own parts of yourself that are like that. 9, this is, I don't want to like get too dramatic about this, but the romance industry, I don't know if anyone watching this is outside of the romance industry. I'm thinking most of you are romance readers. But the romance industry especially is a beautiful and dangerous place. Mostly women write romance. I'm not going to say that because I have encountered many men that do it too, but it's a lot of women, and with anything, it's going to be a little bit bitchy. There's going to be like a Mean Girls atmosphere. Not because it's just every author is like that, it's just every workplace is like that. There's going to be people in there for the wrong reasons and bullies and all of that. And unfortunately, the romance industry has got that in it. There is backstabbing. There are people that want to use you. There are people that aren't authentic. And it's really scary. I was way too naive going in. And I probably still am a little bit now. I didn't expect the extent of some of the underhanded stuff that I have seen, and I haven't even seen like the most of it. I try and keep myself out of it, and I just want to warn you, I don't want to talk shit about people, because 99.9% of the people that I've encountered are lovely authors and they just want to lift other people up. But just be aware of that and just don't buy into this Mean Girls culture. There are enough readers for everyone. there are so many romance readers. There is, like, pushing someone down isn't going to lift you up any further. I promise you that. So just don't go into any kind of industry, obviously, but if you're thinking about self-publishing, that's not the way to do it. And just be mindful that there are people out there that want to do that, and just be very careful who you surround yourself with. I hate that I have to say that, but on the flip side of that though, it's an amazing industry. I'm so lucky that I have such beautiful readers, and that's the number 9 kind of, engage with your readers. Your readers are the reason that you're gonna soar or sink, and your engagement with them is a huge part of it. I love engaging with my readers, and I think it's so awesome that we're on a platform that we can do that. So if someone emails you and if someone writes you a message, please make sure you respond. And I'm terrible at, especially Messenger, I'm better at Instagram. But if someone sends me an email, I will always reply. Maybe it might be 2 weeks later, but I will always reply. So just be aware, your readers are the people that are going to make your dreams come true. And I know that they have made my dreams come true. So they are the most important thing beyond like looking like you're popular or you're one of the big people or you're friends with the right people. Fuck all that. I'm here to say that right now. Fuck all of that shit. I've been too burned by that. There are people that just want to be seen with the right people, and that's just who they are. Which is, if it works for them and they're not hurting anyone, that's fine. But your readers are your main priority. Don't try and social climb and see who the big person is and try and and authentically get in with that gang or whatever. Just be genuine, especially with your readers. They are the most important people to you. And number 10, you're gonna make mistakes. You have to be at peace with this. No one is an expert at anything that they start. I've definitely seen a lot of people who take to this really naturally, who are born to be in this industry, self-publishing in particular. They are just really amazing at it, and it just is their lane, which is great. But even those people are going to make mistakes. Me, this is not my lane. I was not born for this, especially the business side of it. I was really young when I started this. I was 20. Fuck. How old was I in 2015? That's maths. Oh my god. That was 5 years ago. I'm 27 now. Oh my gosh. I'm not a mathematician, I'm not all that, but I was 22 when I started this. I was a baby, and I still am not mature enough. I will say that. There are still things that I don't handle in the right way. I like to think that I'm more mature than a lot of other 27-year-olds, almost because of this, but I made a lot of mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. That is 1000% the most certain thing about all of this. You are going to make a mistake. Might be a great big one, might be a small one, but the way that you handle it and the way that you recover means everything. So just be prepared for this. You're not an expert, and this industry is always changing. So you're going to make mistakes. I am definitely. Be at peace with that, and don't try and be perfect. That is definitely something I'm still learning to do, especially because this industry is very much you see the surface of a lot of people, and you see, oh, this person looks like they seem to be succeeding in this amazing way, and I'm so guilty of it, and I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong? Whereas we don't see the struggles of people mostly. We just see the successes, which is awesome. I love to see other women succeeding, but don't talk down to yourself because you're not in the same place. This is a very cliche quote for a reason. Don't compare someone else's ending to your middle or to your beginning. People's passing journeys are so different in this industry, and some people are going to get big just like that, and you're going to be like, what the fuck? And some people are going to take longer. Does not mean that one way or the other way is wrong. It just is. There are 1,000 different things that go into it, more than 10. But I hope this video isn't already too long. If you like this whole 10 things or list things about self-publishing, please let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to talk more about it. With the disclaimer, I'm not an expert. And I want to share what I've learned with people. I definitely think that too many people don't, and I don't think that this is on purpose. Everyone's just hustling and in their lane, which is awesome. But I'm so happy to share whatever I can to help you in your own journey and lift people up, because I wish that there had been someone there for me In saying that, there were people there. Amal Jones, Jessica Gadziella, Addison Jane, many more. There were many women that helped me along my way, and this is maybe a way to pay it forward a little bit. So if you need any help, let me know in the comments, and if you want more and if you have questions, I'd be so happy to answer them. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.